Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Massive victory for India as International Court of Justice orders Pakistan to suspend the execution of Kulbhushan Jadhav. Says India should have been given consular access as per Vienna Convention. Union Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passes away at the age of 60 in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls it a personal loss, says Dave will always be remembered as a devoted public servant. Defence Minister Arun Jaitley and Army Chief General Bipin Rawat review security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, ask Army to give a fitting reply to any Pakistani aggression in the face of repeated ceasefire violations. And amid numerous controversies over Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election, American Justice Department names former FBI boss Robert Mueller as special counsel to oversee probe. Well, the International Court of Justice today told Pakistan to grant India consular access to alleged Indian spy Kulbhushan Jadhav, overruling Pakistan's argument on the former Indian naval officer. The top UN court ordered Pakistan not to execute Jadhav till it delivered the final verdict in the case. Jadhav was sentenced to death by a Pakistani military court on charges of espionage. Well, the Ministry of External Affairs is holding a press conference on this matter. Let's listen in to what Bagley has to say.
Parliament of India, which represents the sovereign people of India, that the government will do everything possible for ensuring justice for Mr. Jadhav, for saving his life. Today, you would have seen that External Affairs Minister has once again has repeated that assurance and has said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, the government shall not leave any stone unturned in its effort to save Mr. Jadhav. So this is where we stand, and I think the provisional relief which India has been granted on its request, it constitutes an essential first step in ensuring justice for Mr. Jadhav. We hope that it will help remedy the egregious violations of Jadhav's rights and also the violations of international convention by Pakistan in this matter. अब मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि उसको हिंदी में आप लोगों ने मित्रों देखा कि आज थोड़ी देर पहले इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस ने जो कि हेग में है एक ऑर्डर एक आदेश पारित किया है जो कि भारत की प्रार्थना पर उन्होंने पारित किया है और उसमें उन्होंने ये निर्देश दिया है कि पाकिस्तान सारे कदम उठाए जो कि संभव हैं जिससे कि ये सुनिश्चित किया जा सके कि श्री जाधव को दिया गया मृत्युदंड तब तक क्रियान्वित नहीं किया जाएगा जब तक कि इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस इस करंट मामले में जो कि उनके विचाराधीन है अपना अंतिम निर्णय नहीं दे देता। और उसने पाकिस्तान को ये भी निर्देश दिया है कि वो कोर्ट को ये बताए कि कोर्ट के इस पारित आदेश का क्रियान्वयन करने के लिए, इसको लागू करने के लिए पाकिस्तान ने क्या कदम उठाए हैं।
Well, MEA spokesperson Gopal Bagle there speaking to the media, addressing a press conference and letting the media know what exactly happened at the court in The Hague. Joining me for a chat now to talk about what exactly happened in the International Court of Justice today is Satya Prakash, legal editor of the Tribune. Satya Prakash, a big win as far as India is concerned in the International Court of Justice with regards to the Kulbhushan Jadhav case.
Yeah, of course, it's a big diplomatic victory for India because we didn't have any option left after the Pakistani authorities refused to allow access to Yadav. And the fact that India acknowledged that Yadav is an Indian citizen, immediately thereafter Pakistan should have allowed us consular access to Yadav. They didn't. And all of a sudden we came to know about his death sentence. So, and the manner in which the entire thing was conducted in Pakistan, particularly the criminal trial, and that raises so many questions.
Indeed. And what was the observation of the court today? What did the court observe?
Well, the first thing the court did was they overruled Pakistan's objections on jurisdiction. They said this International Court of Justice does have jurisdiction in the matter because both India and Pakistan are signatories to Vienna Convention. And since both are signatories to Vienna Convention, the International Court of Justice has jurisdiction. Second, Pakistan has raised an issue of a bilateral agreement between India and Pakistan signed in 2008. But again, on this issue also, the International Court of Justice said it does not rule out jurisdiction specifically, and hence again Pakistan's objections overruled. And that is after establishing that they have jurisdiction in this matter, they went on to decide about the provisional measures, that is the interim measures. And in this case, thereafter, they have stayed the execution of Kulbhushan Yadav, and they have also went to the extent of saying that, rather reminding Pakistan that this order is binding on them and they cannot rather touch Kulbhushan till the time the matter is finally decided by the International Court of Justice.
Sure. Stay with us, Satya Prakash. Let's now take a look at what exactly happened today in this report.
A massive victory for India. The International Court of Justice on Thursday ordered Pakistan to suspend the execution of Kulbhushan Jadhav till it delivered a final decision in the case. Reading out the verdict at The Hague, ICJ President Ronnie Abraham told Pakistan to take all necessary measures to ensure that Jadhav was not executed. It further asked it to keep the court informed about the measures.
Under the present circumstances, it is appropriate for the court to order that Pakistan shall take all measures at its disposal to ensure that Mr. Jadhav is not executed pending the final decision in these proceedings, and shall inform the court of all the measures taken in implementation of the present order.
The court has said that it had prima facie jurisdiction in the matter as there was a dispute between the parties over the circumstances of Jadhav's arrest.
Any reservations contained in the declarations made by the parties under Article 36, paragraph 2 of the statute cannot impede the court's jurisdiction specially provided for in the optional protocol. Thus, the court need not examine these reservations further.
The 11-judge bench also said that India should have been granted consular access to its citizen as per the Vienna Convention. It also rejected Pakistan's argument that a person convicted of espionage was not entitled to access.
The acts alleged by India are capable of falling within the scope of Article 36, paragraph 1 of the Vienna Convention, which, inter alia, guarantees the right of the sending state to communicate with and have access to its nationals in the custody of the receiving state, in the view of the court, taking into account the legal arguments and evidence presented. It appears that the rights invoked by India in the present case on the basis of Article 36, paragraph 1 of the Vienna Convention are plausible.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj expressed satisfaction at the judgment.
The whole world and the international community, at least of jurists, have reacted in one voice, and that voice is against the stand taken by Pakistan. So the whole world now knows that there was no trial, the entire thing was a charade, and this military trial and a trial in camera was really nothing.
Pakistan's foreign ministry, however, condemned the International Court's decision, claiming that it was flawed.
After India stood exposed in state-sponsored terrorism, terror financing, spying and subversive activities, it has desperately tried to divert the world attention by presenting Kulbhushan's case from humanitarian angle.
Jadhav was sentenced to death by a Pakistan military court on charges of espionage last year. India moved the ICJ against the death penalty, alleging violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let me now go across to our guest once again, Satya Prakash, legal editor of the Tribune. Well, Satya Prakash, as far as this particular case is concerned, big victory for India today. It's just an interim order, if we could call it that. But the final verdict, of course, is still awaited. What's the next course of action?
Well, next course of action, so far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan will have to provide consular access to us. And first thing, they cannot touch Kulbhushan for the next until the case is finally decided. Second, because I was going through certain tweets, whatever the court has said, International Court of Justice, it means Pakistan will have to provide us consular access. And third, once consular access is provided, thereafter we can prepare our case and maybe we can defend Kulbhushan in Pakistani courts, because ultimately it is not that the International Court of Justice is going to sit in appeal over the Pakistani court's verdict. No, not do, and it will not do. Here the precise case is having access to consular access to Kulbhushan, and the manner in which the trial has been conducted. Maybe it will have some bearing on that. But third is there is an appeal filed by Kulbhushan's mother in with Pakistani authorities. Nobody knows what is the status of that appeal, whether it's pending before the court or pending before some executive authorities for in form of a mercy petition, and whether they are going to take it up or not, that's not clear. The International Court of Justice, as of now, they have said that Pakistani authorities, they have indicated that up to August something, they are not going to do anything.
Okay, fair enough. We'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining us with all those details and putting things into perspective for us. We'll be tracking this story closely and bring you all the updates as and when it develops. For now, moving on, of course, Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passed away in the national capital today. He was not keeping well for the last few months. The minister's last rites will be performed on the banks of the Narmada River in Hoshangabad district tomorrow. The Madhya Pradesh government has declared a 2-day state mourning as a mark of respect to the departed leader. Science and Technology Minister Harshvardhan will now hold additional charge of the Environment Ministry. Union Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave passed away in New Delhi on Thursday. 60-year-old Dave complained of uneasiness at his residence in the morning and was rushed to AIIMS, where he was declared dead. A two-time Rajya Sabha MP from Madhya Pradesh and a former pracharak of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, Dave was appointed the Environment Minister last year. President Pranab Mukherjee expressed shock at the sudden demise. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also condoled the death of Dave.
Very quiet, very simple, very articulate, and above all, the finest human being. It's a great loss to the government, to the party, to the people of the country, particularly people of Madhya Pradesh.
उनके निधन से हम एक कुशल संगठक, नदी संरक्षक, पर्यावरणविद और एक ऐसा नेतृत्व जो देश के लिए समर्पित था खोया है। उनका जाना देश की, प्रदेश की अपूरणीय क्षति है।
मैं उनके निधन पर मुझे दुख भी है, अफसोस भी है, और उनकी उम्र भी कुछ नहीं थी, तो इस आघात को सहने की ताकत उनके परिवार को मिले, इसकी मैं कामना करता हूं।
हम लोग अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करते हैं। निश्चित रूप से भगवान उनकी आत्मा को शांति दे, और जो शोक संतप्त परिवार है और उनके जो ईस्ट में निकट के लोग हैं, उन्हें इस दुख को सहने की शक्ति दे।
काफी सालों से उन्होंने अपने जीवन में सादगी से रहकर सिर्फ देश की सेवा में समाज को ठीक करने के लिए अपना पूरा जीवन का योगदान दिया।
बहुत ही प्रभावी सांसद थे, कई सेलेक्ट कमेटी में अच्छा काम किया था, और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि नर्मदा के प्रति उनको अगाध प्रेम था, और नर्मदा का संवर्धन हो, इसके लिए उन्होंने स्वयं लंबी यात्रा नर्मदा में की थी।
A keen strategist, Anil Madhav Dave is best known for crafting BJP's political strategy to unseat Congress stalwart Digvijay Singh as Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister in 2008. His phenomenal organizational skills were in ample evidence as the BJP's election chief for MP Assembly elections from 2003 to 2013 and the Lok Sabha elections in 2004, 2009 and 2014. Dave was also an expert in river conservation and made his mark on the Narmada River conservation. He founded the Narmada Samagra NGO that worked on the conservation of Narmada River and its catchment areas through activities and events. As a member of the upper house, he also served as member of the Parliamentary Forum on Global Warming and Climate Change. Besides keen interest in environmental issues, Dave's other passion was flying. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Moving on now, the Supreme Court on Thursday reserved its verdict on petitions challenging the constitutional validity of triple talaq among Muslims. For the last 6 days, the Apex Court has been hearing submissions from various parties, including the Centre, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board and other parties. Defending triple talaq, the AIMPLB said it is ready to issue an advisory to all qazis to ascertain women's view on triple talaq. On Wednesday, the bench questioned the government as to why it did not legislate the regulation of marriages and divorces among Muslims. The court has kept the issues of polygamy and nikah halala pending for the future. The Supreme Court is hearing a number of petitions challenging triple talaq, polygamy and nikah halala in the Muslim community. The hearing on the case began on May 11th.
I have suggested that this harmonizing effort has to be undertaken, whereas the Personal Law Board has said that the harmonizing effort cannot be done by court and should not be done by court. They've suggested legislation. I have said that if something is part of personal law, then neither legislation nor courts can interfere.
Well, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Thursday assured the Jammu and Kashmir government of all possible help in restructuring the goods and services tax rollout for the state while respecting its special status. Jaitley also met Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and discussed various issues pertaining to the state, including funds flow under the Prime Minister's development plan. He also reviewed the security situation along the line of control in the valley and at a meeting with top army officials. Army Chief General Bipin Rawat was also present at the meeting. Jaitley arrived in Srinagar on Wednesday for the 14th GST Council meet that will last for the next 2 days.
We will go in with the GST regime, but because we have a special constitutional position, we will try and make some changes. We draw our powers in J&K to tax from our Section 5 of our Constitution of J&K, whereas all other states draw their powers from Article 246 of the Constitution of India. So some corresponding changes have to be made, and we will try and introduce the GST bill in the coming 30 days in the state legislature.
Well, here's a roundup of the other news from across the country and nationwide. Two 145 M777 ultra-light howitzers will arrive in India from the US on Friday. They are the first inductions of the weapons after the Bofors scandal broke out nearly 30 years ago. Procured for the Indian Army, the howitzers will be deployed along the India-China border. India is buying 145 howitzers from the US at a cost of around $700 million. In the 1995 Ashok murder case, former RJD MP Prabhunath Singh and 2 others were convicted on Thursday by a Hazaribagh court in Jharkhand. Ashok Singh, who was a Janata Dal MLA, was killed at his house in Patna. He was a political opponent of former Chief Minister Lalu Prasad's close aide Prabhunath Singh. Announcement of punishment will be on May 23rd. AIADMK General Secretary VK Shashikala filed a petition in the Egmore court saying that questions be given to her prior to the hearing by the Enforcement Directorate in Ferra. The ED objected the request, leading to the case being adjourned. Madras High Court refused to defer Dinakaran's trial in the economic offences. Actress Reema Laghu died of a cardiac arrest early this morning. She was 59. Her last rites were held in Mumbai. A veteran of the Marathi stage as well as several high-profile Bollywood films, Reema is survived by her daughter Mrunmayee Laghu, and many actors expressed grief and condoled her untimely departure. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Engineer's role is to make this world a better place to live. the innovations that are happening in any engineering sector, 70% of the contribution comes from materials innovation. You go in the market and see the products like Sunwash, antibacterial textiles. That is based on RCA technology.
Watch Eureka with Dr. G. Padmanabham, Director, ARCI, Hyderabad, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, a former FBI director was appointed special counsel to oversee the investigation into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 US election. The appointment of Robert Mueller is aimed at stemming the wave of criticism that Trump faced since he fired FBI Director James Comey last week. Now, Trump says that the new investigation will confirm there was no collusion between his campaign and Russia.
After a number of controversies regarding Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election, now a special counsel has been appointed to oversee the inquiry. The Justice Department named a former FBI boss, Robert Mueller, as special counsel on Wednesday, saying it was in public interest to have an outsider, one who exercises a degree of independence from the normal chain of command.
He is the subject of an ongoing criminal investigation.
The appointment was widely endorsed by politicians from both sides. President Donald Trump predicted the new investigation would clear him and his team.
I was very, very pleased. First, that he was appointed, and secondly, that it was Bob Mueller, who is a terrific guy, unimpeachable integrity. So I was very pleased to see that.
A good start in the right direction. This administration with the new president has been in crisis from week to week. It's one thing after the other, and I am pleased that that's happened.
To bring in someone like Robert Mueller that has already worked within the FBI, that it looks like he's going to work within the FBI process. You've got a prime decision maker there working within the process. It's a good hybrid.
Calls for a special investigation had been mounting since Trump fired FBI Director James Comey last week. The move had led Democrats to allege that the president was trying to meddle into the FBI probe into potential links between his campaign team and Russia. 72-year-old Mueller served as FBI Director for 12 years under Presidents George Bush and Barack Obama. Having a sterling reputation in Washington, D.C., experts say he is the right man for the job.
He served under both Democratic and Republican administrations, that he's known as being very thorough, searching, detail-oriented, that it's seen that he can lend an independent voice to this investigation, which is exactly what's needed now.
The White House has been engulfed in crisis following Comey's abrupt dismissal and allegations that Trump asked the ousted FBI chief to drop an inquiry into links between his ex-national security advisor and Russia. The recent revelations fueled Democratic claims that Trump had tried to conceal his team's connection with Russia. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news and global buzz. Pakistan executed 8 terrorists who were convicted under the country's military court system. The executions took place at an unspecified jail in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. According to reports, all 8 men were active members of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. South Korea's new president Moon Jae-in pledged to reopen a probe into a 1980 massacre of pro-democracy activists in Gwangju. The massacre left more than 165 people dead and over 70 missing and established General Chun Do-hwan's grip on the country. Chun was arrested in 1995 after democracy was restored and sentenced to death. He was later pardoned. Iranians campaigned in Tehran ahead of the presidential election on Friday. The withdrawal of other candidates has turned the election into an unexpectedly tight two-horse race between Hassan Rouhani and Ebrahim Raisi. In a rare warning, President Rouhani urged Iran's powerful revolutionary guards and the Basij militia not to meddle in the election. Venezuela deployed 2,600 troops to the western region of Táchira to put an end to looting and rioting amid continuing anti-government protests. Thousands of people have come onto the streets to demand elections, freedom for jailed activists and autonomy for the opposition-led legislature, while UNSC held a closed-door meeting on Wednesday to discuss the deteriorating situation in the country. Let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some news from the world of sports and Sports Beat. Leander Paes and Scott Lipsky will face Indian pair of Purav Rajya and Divij Sharan in the semi-finals of the Bordeaux Challenger in France. Paes and Lipsky beat a French pair of Laurent Locoli and Maxime Hanvier in straight sets to reach the semis. Monaco beat Saint-Etienne 2-0 at home to claim their first Ligue 1 title in 17 years. Goals from Kylian Mbappe and Valerie Germain lifted them to 92 points, 6 ahead of PSG. The side was effectively guaranteed the title after a 4-0 win over Lille due to the superior goal difference. The title put them joint third in the professional era with Nantes and 8 titles, Saint-Etienne with 10 and Olympique de Marseille with 9. Stan Wawrinka beat Benoit Paire in the Italy Open second round, while Dominic Thiem beat Pablo Cuevas and Milos Raonic beat Tommy Haas. Third-seeded Wawrinka won the match 6-3, 1-6, 6-3 and will face American John Isner in the third round. Eighth-seeded Thiem defeated Uruguayan Cuevas 7-6, 6-4 and will face American Sam Querrey in the third round. In another match, fifth-seeded Canadian Raonic beat German Haas 6-4, 6-3 to face Thomas Berdych in the next round. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.